Hi guys, it's Paige here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I thought I would finally do a monthly reading wrap up because I love reading. Like, I adore reading. I've loved it since I was a little kid. I've always loved reading, and this has become really popular on BookTube, where people will show all the books they read in the month of whatever month. So it is July 1st, so June is officially over, and I read 12 books during the month of June, and I thought I would just tell you guys what they were and what I rated them, if I recommended them or not. I feel like June was a pretty good reading month for me because the majority of the books I read I thoroughly enjoyed. I didn't rate anything below a 3 stars, so I feel like that's a pretty good reading month. And I also read 12 books, so I'm hoping next month I can read even more. But I'm so excited to tell you guys the books I read and my opinions on them. So the first book I read in June was Hothouse Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie. So first of all, love this cover. This is like the new cover because they had the old ones with the people on it, which I don't like, and these new covers just came out and literally I'm obsessed with them. So basically, Krista and Becca Ritchie wrote the Addicted/Calloway series. This is part of the Calloway series. It's the second book in the Calloway series, and I am in love with the Addicted/Calloway series, Sisters series. It is so good. So many people talked about it and I was like, is it gonna be overhyped? Like, am I not gonna enjoy it? No, I love it, and I gave this book 5 stars. So this is Reich and Daisy's book. Basically, I don't really know how to like summarize it because you're like so far into knowing about them that it's kind of hard to like summarize it without spoilers. But there's 3 sisters, Rose, Poppy, oh no, there's 4 sisters. There's Rose, Poppy, Lily, and Daisy. Poppy's not in it because she's like married and has kids. So it's Rose, Lily, and Daisy. So this is Daisy and Reich's book, and Reich is a friend of the others. I can't really say anymore because it might spoil if you haven't read the first few books, but it's basically their book and I love it so much. It is age gap, but only by 4 years, I think. Basically, she's like a model, but she hates it. She only does it to impress her mom, and it's pretty much Grumpy Sunshine, I would say. He is like grumpy, like kind of jaded. He loves rock climbing and like very respectful to women. But he's also known as like a player. So like when people find out that they're a thing, everyone thinks it's like him just like being like a player kind of, but it's not. I don't know how else to talk about it without spoiling it, but it was an amazing book. 5 out of 5 stars. 100% recommend picking up this series. Very, very good. Great way to start off the month. The next book I read is no other than Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I love this cover. This is also a new cover. So this book is about, it has alternating timelines between then and now, and it is about Macy and Elliot. So Macy's family buys a cottage, like a lake house next door to Elliot's, and basically every summer they go there. And is it every summer? Yeah, it is. Like every summer, every year they go there, and like you slowly watch the two of them fall in love. But then it's the now timeline where they don't speak, and like you don't know why, you don't know what happens. It's such good vibes. Like, it is like summer lake house vibes. I love it so much. They also love reading, which is great because like when characters in books love reading, it's like I absolutely adored this book. And the only thing that I did rate this 5 stars on Goodreads. The only thing that I would knock it down to like a 4.75 is because the reason they haven't talked in many years is like a very serious topic, and I feel like it was kind of brushed over in the book, and they didn't talk about like the impacts that that event would have on Elliot, and it was just kind of like brushed over, and it is a very triggering topic, so I feel like it should have been talked about more and in maybe more of a delicate way, because the way they kind of talked about it, they made it, I don't know how to say this without spoiling it, they kind of made it out that it wasn't a big deal and nothing like that, but like it is a big deal and it definitely should have been talked about. So that was the only thing that I didn't love about this book, but besides that, this was an amazing book. I would definitely search up trigger warnings though, but 5 out of 5 stars, a great book. The third book I read was Emily Henry's new book, Book Lovers. So obviously you already know that the characters are gonna love books, which is great. I read Beach Read and People Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Beach Read I liked. People Meet on Vacation was alternating timelines. I didn't like it. So Book Lovers, 3 stars. It was a good book, but it was nothing special, like in my opinion. So basically it's about Nora and Charlie. They kind of work together, but they don't like each other. And then she's doing everything to like make her sister happy because her sister has kids and is like very stressed. So they go on this vacation, and then Charlie's there, and it's like, what? Like, why is he here? And obviously they don't get along, they don't like each other, but then as the weeks go on, they grow to like each other. And the one thing about Charlie is he does let Nora be her like independent, strong woman without trying to like take that away from her, which I really liked. It was a really cute book. Like, I would recommend reading it, but I didn't like how it was really focused on Nora and her sister's relationship. Like, I would have liked more of the romance, but it was a fine book. I wouldn't read it again. I would recommend it, but I didn't love it. So 3 out of 5 stars for that. So the next book I read was by Coho. It is Layla by Colleen Hoover. A lot of people don't talk about this book. It is not one of her like popular books, but I don't understand why, because I absolutely adored this book. I would give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books of all time. And a lot of people either don't like it or haven't read it, don't talk about it. So basically it is about Leeds and Layla. Basically, they're like in love, like love each other so much, but it's like insta love. And then a traumatic event happens, and Leeds decides to take Layla back to the bread and breakfast where they met to try and like get things back on track, back to normal, instead of, because like she is obviously like a little traumatized after this event occurred. So it's like this whole story of them like trying to get back to normal, but then when they're in the house, Leeds like starts experiencing some like paranormal things, like his laptop will close or there'll be a mess everywhere, but it wasn't him or Layla. And so he realizes that there's like a ghost in the house, or like a presence, and he is able to start communicating with his presence. And then he kind of starts getting feelings for this presence, and a whole bunch of things happen. It's a very good book, and I feel like this is one of my favorite books because it shows that like love can like conquer everything. Like, I know lots of people are talking about like the multiverse or like something like that, and it just kind of like, it shows that like their love was able to overcome anything. Even, well, I guess it wasn't really the multiverse, but like it's kind of like that vibes, like no matter, even if they're in a different universe, they can find their way back to each other. And I just really, really loved this book. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I would 100% recommend picking this up. Please, 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 please go read it. Such a great book. I then read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. So this is Grumpy Sunshine. So there is Piper, who's like this socialite. She's like from LA, and then as a punishment, she has to go to this like small fishing village, and that's where Piper meets Brendan, which is like the grumpy guy, kind of standoffish. And obviously at first he's like, who is this? Like, she's all like glitz and glam and money, like no. But then as they get to know each other, like he realizes there's more to her, and they fall in love, and it's an amazing book. Also, it's a like spicy romance, which you would not expect based on this cover, but it was an amazing book. I loved the Grumpy Sunshine. I loved the like thought she was like preppy, but, or like was shallow but actually wasn't, and like the character development in this book, amazing. I loved this book. 5 out of 5 stars. So good. And then I read the second book in the series, which is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. And this is Piper's sister, Hannah, and Brendan's best friend, Fox. I did enjoy this book. It was super cute. Basically, Hannah went with Piper when they first moved to the town so that she wouldn't be alone. But then eventually she had to go back to LA for her job and everything. So she's able to convince her job to film in the small fishing village, so she has to stay somewhere. So she stays with Fox in his spare room, and so it's like forced proximity. And then there's this guy that she likes, so she's trying to like not make him jealous, but like trying to get with him. And then like Fox is there, and their friendship is like developing, but Fox is like the player, like he is the like bad boy player, but it's because like obviously like something happened in his past. I don't know, it was super, super cute. I love this book. I didn't give it 5 out of 5 stars because it just wasn't, but it was still a very good book, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, so you should definitely pick up this book. So the next book I read was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, and I have seen this everywhere. I bought it a while ago, but lately everyone has been talking about it. So basically it is about Bree and what's his name? Bree and Nathan. So this book is about Bree and Nathan. So Nathan is a football player and she's a dancer. They've been friends forever, and they have to start fake dating after something happens to kind of like help with his image. Not really help with his image, but like they just start fake dating. And then like obviously the lines get blurred, and they're like, what is acting, what is real? And it's like, will they ever be able to make it out of the friend zone? Or is it ever too late to leave the friend zone, is like the little quote. And so like obviously both of them, like the girl is like, he doesn't like me, I need to make sure that he understands that I only think of him as a friend so I don't get embarrassed. And then he's like, she doesn't like me, I need to act like that too. So then they're both acting like they don't like each other, but they do like each other. And it was a cute book. This was not a spicy book, if you were wondering. It was not. I rated it a 3 out of 5 stars because it was a cute book, but it was nothing special or out of the ordinary. But it's a nice little fluffy romance to like read. So yeah, I then read Thrive by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which goes back to the Addicted series. So the Hot House Flower is in the Calloway series, and this is the Back to Addicted series. I did enjoy this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason I did that was, and this is Lillian Lowe's book, is because it was the same timeline as Hot House Flower, and Hot House Flower brought us 2 years in advance, and then this book brought us back to Hot House Flower, like the beginning of the timeline. And obviously there was no like repeat scenes. It was like from different perspectives, but I was just kind of like, I wanted to be 2 years in the future because that's already what I'd read. So then going back and reading the past 2 years from their perspective was like kind of like but I still did give it a 4 out of 5 stars because I love these characters with my whole heart. The core 6 is everything, and if you don't know what I mean, you need to read these books. Amazing. And then I read Confess by Colleen Hoover. So a lot of people are talking about how they love this book, and I liked Layla more than this book. I gave this book a 4 to 5 stars. It is insta love. I did really enjoy this book. Like, it was a good, fast read. It was just like, I don't know. It was like a really good book. It had a cool concept. Basically, it's about Auburn and Owen. So Owen has this like art studio where people will like leave their confessions and then he'll paint them. And so then like one day she goes in and she starts working for him. And like basically there's like, he has this like huge secret, and so like he doesn't want her to find out, and she also has secrets of her past. But it was a super cute book. I did like it, but I only gave it a 4 to 5 stars because it was on the same level as some of Colleen Hoover's other books. But it was a very cute book. Okay, so the next book I read was Twisted Games by Anna Huang. This is the second book in the series. The first one was Twisted Love, which I loved so much. I read it in one sitting and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This one's also a 5 out of 5 stars. So basically it's a bodyguard romance. So it's about Bridget, who's a princess, and Riss Larson, I think that's how you say his name, who is the bodyguard, and her old bodyguard went on paternity leave, so she needs a new one, and he comes in and he's like grumpy. He is like not nice. He's like, I have one job, and that job is to protect you. But obviously he's attracted to her, which makes him even more mad because he's like, no, she's my client, and she's the princess of this country. I can't remember what it's called, but she's in the States for school, but for some reason she has to go back to her like home and has to kind of like step up. And obviously their love is like forbidden because the new role that she has, you can only marry of royal blood, which Riss isn't. Riss also has, or Rice also has, like a traumatic past because he was a Navy SEAL. And it's like a forbidden romance, super cute, age gap too, and I really like this book. It also does have spice in it, and it was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. The next book I read was Ruckus by L.J. Shen. So this is the Sinners of Saint series. So it's like Defy, Vicious, Ruckus, Scandalous, and Bane. So I have read the first 4. I only have one left, which is Bane. And this is Rosie and Dean's book. Basically, Rosie has cystic fibrosis, so she knows she's gonna like die at a young age. And Dean is kind of like an alcoholic. He has some problems with drugs as well. But he's like, 11 years ago they had like a chance, but then he dated her sister, so it's 11 years in the future, and he's like, no more wasting time, I'm gonna make her mine. And Rosie's like, no, I can't do that, he dated my sister, like I need to stop being selfish. But they're like, no more wasting any time, and like kind of the lines get blurred and they end up falling in love. And this was an amazing book. I loved it so much. Such a good book. And Rosie's like able to get Dean to like stop drinking, and she's like, no drinking or like smoking around me, like I will not tolerate that. And I don't know, it was a really good book. There are some sad parts. I did cry, but I really enjoyed this book, and it was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. The final book I read, which I actually finished yesterday, was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This book was actually written by a Canadian author, which I did not know, which was really cool because like they talked about like Toronto and Muskoka, which are places like near my house. Well, I live in Toronto, but like Muskoka and other places, like I know those places. So that was really cool because I usually read like books by like American authors, so it was really cool. The only thing I did notice was she still spelled like color and favor without a U, which is the American way, because in Canada you add a U, so that was kind of weird. But I loved this book. It was so good. People said it was similar to The Summer I Turned Pretty and Love in Other Words, like if they were mixed together, and I see what people were saying. It was similar, but it was still its own book. And the reason, so it's then and now timelines, basically. It's Percy and Sam. So Percy's family buys a lake house right next door to Sam's, kind of similar to Love in Other Words. They spend every summer together, and they're like best friends. And then obviously like a romance ensues. But then he also has an older brother, which kind of like brings in the Summer I Turned Pretty vibes. It was a really good book, and the reason I gave this book a 5 stars was because, well, it was amazing, but what I'm saying is I think it might be a little bit higher in my books than Love in Other Words, because as I said, the Love in Other Words, the reason why they didn't talk was like not explained or like talked about in a way that it should have been, I feel like, whereas this, like the reason why they didn't talk in I think 13 years like wasn't like that. So I really did enjoy this book. Then and Now timelines, which is amazing. 13 years since they haven't talked. Tragedy strikes, so they have to talk, and they come back together. And so basically the little like tagline is six summers to fall in love, 1 moment to fall apart, a weekend to get it right. If that doesn't encourage you to read this book, like summer vibes, beach house, childhood, friends to lovers, then and now timeline, I don't know what else will, but this was an amazing book, and I give it 5 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend. So those are all the 12 books I read in the month of June. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want me to do like a monthly reading wrap up, I would love to do that because I love books and I love reading and I love talking about books. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please get a big thumbs up. If you want to join my family, hit the big red subscribe button down below. And if you want to get notified every time I upload a new video, make sure you turn your post notifications. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!